Otacon. I've come across these weird sound files talking about something called the Red Leaf Retrocast. I don't know what any of this has to do with Metal Gear. Is the enemy trying to distract us?
I don't know, Snake, but I feel like we should listen to them anyway. There might be some important information in there.
How can there be anything important in these? They're talking about retro video games.
Snake, okay, we were in a retro video game.
By the way, you just come out of bed or something? We're on a mission here.
No time for jokes, Snake. Haha.
I wish we could go longer, but this is getting a little too meta for me.
And it's the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 61. Theme, stealth games.
All right.
Hey, Colin, you were a very good Snake. Clearly, I nailed it as Otacon. Thank you, Joey, for your brilliant expertise in acting skills.
Mm-hmm. I am the greatest acting coach there is.
You coached me well through that one. Give me my Oscar immediately. Yes, if you, just right quick, if you listen to the end of the last episode, we kind of said it was going to be Kevin's theme pick, Bullet Hell. Well, almost immediately after the cast, and way too lazy to just go and edit it into other things, we decided to, due to my birthday over the weekend, happy birthday to me.
Yeah, happy belated birthday.
Me being away. Thank you, Colin. Me being away. And then Kevin also not being able to be here this weekend through his own circumstances. We decided to flip Colin's pick and Kevin's pick, so Kevin's Bullet Hell pick will be the next episode down the road. So, Colin, it's your theme pick today. Joey, you're also here.
Yes, I am. I am here.
So how's everyone doing? I have obviously a many stories to tell. But why don't you guys start?
Well, I'll start. It's been quite a couple of weeks. Like about a week ago, I got laid off from my job. It's a combination of our losing Air Canada's contract and our building being flooded, so it's damaged. So until the next contract comes along, I'm out of a job. So I've just been relaxing at home for the past week or so.
Well, that sounds like plenty of time to play some stealth video games.
Well, yeah, that's what I did, along with
work on your Hitman skills. You're trouncing in the shadows, ready to steal everyone's lunch money so you can pay rent. Right? Am I close?
And my Solid Snake impression, obviously.
Obviously, yes. But again, reiterate, not as good as my Otacon. Come on.
Maybe if Otacon was baked out of his mind on pot.
So you are the second person to get laid off his job in Canada during the 3-year existence of this podcast.
Yes, but I have the advantage of being born and raised in Canada, so I get to stay.
I'm sorry, Colin. I have to regret to inform you that you are being kicked out of your own country. You have to come live in Rhode Island.
Oh, that sucks. Rhode Island's the worst.
Oh boy, fate worse than death.
Oh, come on. I've grown to quite enjoy Rhode Island.
How can it be a state if it's smaller than Houston?
Well, I'm pretty sure... Well, is Wyoming considered a state then?
Wyoming's big, okay?
Big,
I'm
but
talking
not
about,
as many people live there.
I'm talking about distance. Rhode Island is tiny.
Reminds me of a joke from this one Canadian comedy show back in the 90s. It said... It was like a news sketch similar to Saturday Night Live. It's like... This just in, Toronto has added another town to its ever-growing megacity. The other host says, Winnipeg.
Oh, Jesus. Ah, yes. Mid-North Toronto.
Yeah, really. Pretty much all of Ontario is Toronto.
I mean, certain to a point, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
As
right,
for
so
the games I've been playing.
well, before you get into that, I have a few stories.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, it was my birthday over the weekend, and before that, in between the podcast episodes, I retook my engineering exam because it's been a hot minute since I haven't had a quote-unquote engineering job in regards to, say, building and designing things. So I had to retake the exam. I passed. I was very stressed out about it. And this led to an immediate promotion and raise at work. I am now in research and development at my position, so no more dumb chemical baths dealings with me. I am moving on up, and possibly will be traveling to the great state of Virginia and Poland.
Nice.
In the future. I know.
Poland?
Weird combination, but that's the way it is.
Why Poland?
Because the other plant is in Poland.
Does that mean you'll get to meet Tori in person from the anime cast?
Well, he is in Norway, so it would be weird if we met in Poland.
You guys, it's like walkable
Wait, I thought
distance.
Poland
Europe's
was in
tiny.
Norway, but I'm thinking of like Oslo. Never mind. Oops.
Oslo is not in Poland.
My bad. Carry on.
And as I drink my zero gravity pale ale from Vermont, this weekend I went snowboarding for the first time, in almost 2 years, since last winter was awful for snow, and this winter hasn't been much better, but went all the way to a place called Mount Snow. I bought a new snowboard for Labor Day. I've been dying. It's just been collecting dust because the winter's been just really warm and rainy, and when it does get cold enough, it's just ice. But finally, got to, drink my ass off on Friday because, of course, the day got there, it was raining, and it totally froze the ground and all the... it froze the entire mountain, basically. It was a nightmare.
Oh,
so
man.
my mom actually flew up here, and we went... we were supposed to do that. So instead we got really drunk Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday they opened up a couple lifts, but most of them were totally iced over, so we got at least an afternoon in, and then we stayed a little bit longer on Sunday, and of course, Saturday night it snowed like 10 inches, and that's of course the day we gotta go, so we got a few really good runs in the morning, and it was a blast. This new board I got is just 1,000 times better than the antique that I was throwing for a number of years. It was definitely time. I'm finally not falling once I reach a certain speed. The back end doesn't just tail out. So good story there. I drank like every day. Really good food. Really good restaurants. I highly recommend the Mount Snow area. People around the New England area do speak highly of it, and I totally agree. So
Sounds a bit like Blue Mountain.
blast. Oh, it's way better than Blue Mountain. Blue Mountain is a it's not up to par. We'll just go with that. Too many damn people and not enough runs,
yeah.
and it's not even all that big either. So,
I should remember if I'm ever in the New England area in the future during winter.
yeah. So hopefully, in a couple weeks when I head up to Maine, I'll be able to stay a day, or head there on like a Friday night or something and snowboard in the morning and then a wrestling show at night. But anyways, good stuff there. So raise at work, promotion, finally got the snowboard. I'm a very happy guy these past 2 weeks. And of course, we just glossed over in the last episode that the podcast is now 3 years old.
Yay!
Colin, you've been here 2 years. Joey, you're here for a few episodes now.
for about 3 months, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal around here.
Kind of a big deal. And Kevin is one of the OGs. He's been here since day one, originally as a guest host who just stayed. So, very happy you guys are here doing this thing with me. And with that, let's get in. Now we can get into the games we've been playing. Colin, would you like to go first?
Certainly. I've been playing more Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC. Those...
Boo.
Yeah, real convincing argument, buddy. I can tell you're a master of debate.
Hey, I didn't do speech and leadership in 6th and 7th grade for nothing.
Clearly, it's paid off.
I know, right? Best ever. I should go for politics.
Well, you know what they say. It's impossible to win a debate against an idiot. Dust off my shoulders.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Why are we here? Anyways, go on.
Yeah, so been going against the hardest shit bosses in the DLC, and keep in mind, for context, I'm playing at level 99 with the Ultima weapon Keyblade, which is the most powerful one in the game, and I'm still getting my ass kicked. These guys are hard as shit. I mean,
that doesn't sound very fun.
I think these guys are even more challenging than a lot of the bosses in Sekiro. And
that really doesn't sound
that's
fun.
Saying something. Yeah, there's a lot of parrying you have to do, so I imagine you, JD, would have an impossible time of it.
Oh, God. Yeah, do not like that.
That sounds boring.
Well, I find it...
Joey, I now know why we are friends. It was a comment like that really pulls us together as one.
Well, it's just like we're going to experience next week. Why do I want to avoid a bunch of things? I'd rather just kill a bunch of things.
Well, I've beaten most of them. There's just one left. And it's hard as shit because he has the ability to steal your weapon. So you gotta run around avoiding his attacks for a long time before getting it back, although I've never lasted that long. But I will not let it beat me. In any case, I've also been continuing with Blasphemous.
Oh, how far have you gotten in that game?
About 60%.
Okay, so you've definitely passed up how long I got to play it.
Ah, yeah.
For those that don't know, little plug here. We also do the Modern Gaming Cast once a month for all the gaming releases that had come out that month, or at least the ones that we felt like playing. And the way I usually do it is I try to put at least 2 hours into any game that we play for the podcast and the Modern Gaming Cast. So however long, I guess, percentage-wise that is in the Blasphemous, because it's that Metroidvania Super Nintendo style that it is, it's very hard to gauge how far you get in the game.
Well, every time you load the game, it actually says in like the save file 60% complete or what have you.
Does that? But that generally includes like collectibles and stuff, right?
I guess so.
Because
yeah.
I've completed games like Assassin's Creed, for example. It could say like 65% of the game's complete, and then you finish the game. you beat all the main missions.
Yeah,
you're like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's a good point. But in any case, I can safely say this is the goriest game I've ever played. And keep in mind, I've played Doom 2016.
Wonderfully macabre.
Yeah. I mean, it's ironic that you play as a character called the Penitent One, yet some of the ways he kills enemies is on par with Kratos or the Doomslayer in terms of violence, because one kill has you grab a character by the hair, stab them multiple times, and then rip the sword out, and then their guts fall out. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, is there any other way?
Well, you can also smush enemies under their own shields, with blood splattering everywhere. But then again, this is based on, like, really old school Catholicism, which actively punished any non-believers in brutal and grotesque ways.
I mean, not to toot my own horn, but if someone, like, I don't know, put a shield to my face and threatened to stomp down on it, I might have found religion in that moment.
Temporarily, and then as soon as their back is turned, so they can't try it again.
Ha! My fingers were crossed, asshole! I thought Moses was better than Jesus anyways.
Yeah, I remember mentioning on the last cast, I compared it to Shovel Knight, but it's really closer to a Castlevania game. And a very challenging one, too. I'm starting to see why it's called Blasphemous. It makes you say, God damn it, numerous times as you play.
Yeah, it's it was up there in difficulty, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's one really annoying glitch I came across, at least in my copy. The in-game map will fill in parts you haven't explored yet on its own.
Oh.
And that makes exploration much less satisfying because you don't know if a certain spot that has appeared on the map you've actually been or not. I'm like, fucking hell, really?
That's a huge glitch. I didn't come across that in mine, but again, I don't think I got far enough in Blasphemous to really even notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice until I was like through 50%, but according to Reddit, other people have had the same issue, so.
Are you playing on, well, obviously you wouldn't be playing on the Switch, because that's what I played it on.
Yeah, I'm on PS4.
Yeah.
Oh, well, just gotta look up a map that has everything filled in, just so I know whether or not I've been to certain spots. But I still find the game very fun and satisfying, so. I mean, I haven't had the problem with the map filling in since certain spots filled themselves in, so it's still satisfying to explore.
Mm-hmm. God damn, this beer is good. Joey, if you ever come across a company called Zero Gravity, it's from Burlington, Vermont. They make some really good beer. I've had 3 different kinds now. It's amazing. It's really good stuff.
What kind of beer do they make?
Pale Ale, IPA, double IPA, lager, Pilsner. They make the big collection. None of them are fruity, so that's right up my alley.
Nice.
I believe they make a what's it called? Not the citrus kind. It's the but it has that citrus taste. You like that flavor, Joey?
Yeah.
Sour ale. That's what it's called. I believe they make a sour ale as well.
Cool.
Delicious.
Just one last thing about Blasphemous. Fast travel is awful in this game. I mean, the points where you can warp to are so far apart compared to the save points. It's like way on each extreme far end of the map.
That's a common complaint with the game, yeah.
I mean, why not just do the Dark Souls thing and let you travel from save point to save point? It's really tedious the way it is. But
I believe Metroid was kind of like that, but the save points were far apart from each other.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been playing. Although I played a little bit further in Valfaris last night. Game's still fun as hell. It's the heavy metal Contra game that I mentioned last cast.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Joey? You're up, buddy.
I've been playing
Obviously, you've been playing the worst game ever of all time.
Warcraft 3 Reforged, and I've been having a blast.
A blast as in you blew up your copy of the game?
Nope.
Which would obviously entail your computer exploding.
It's been a lot of fun.
Your outrage, you really need to tone that down. Okay.
I've been playing.
This is a family podcast with swearing.
I've been playing TDs. I've been playing malls. I've been playing every kind of custom game there is. It's been a lot of fun. I've been playing the campaigns. I did run into that defeat bug, but that was only in the prologue, so I just went to the main one, and they've already patched it, so I went back to playing. I've not seen any issues, and I'm not upset with it. I'm really enjoying it.
So why are you really upset with Warcraft Reforged worst game ever?
Oh, super upset that there's not more people. I mean, the more people, the more custom games. All those people who got mad and quit, we could have been playing TDs together.
So is it true that because Warcraft 3 Reforged came out, many of the custom games from the original version are now cut out?
I think they cut out custom campaigns. but they didn't cut out any of the games. I mean, if they did, people just need to update them. I mean, I'm playing versions of games that have been created in like 2013, so I've not seen any issues.
So custom campaign is literally just a story someone made from the original build.
Yeah, but I don't know if they actually... I think you can make custom winning statuses, but I don't think you can make like cutscenes and things like that. So there's no real story besides, hey, go kill this thing.
Okay, because that was a big outrage online with it, because there were so many. I'm not up on the Warcraft thing. That's why I'm asking you, Joey. You are the Warcraft expertise of the podcast.
I never did any of that, so.
Okay, well.
And I know
your expertise doesn't matter then.
I think they might have taken out versus and ranked for playing one-on-one, which I never did anyway because I would always get destroyed. I'm not good with that meta strategy game.
Yeah.
So I just like.
Well, I was reading up on just how Blizzard has handled the whole Warcraft 3 Reforged situation. The game itself doesn't seem like it's a big deal, right? But it's how Blizzard advertised, sold the game, and it basically gave false promises, and that's what a lot of people bought the game for, and they didn't get that.
I can see not wanting those two things, but I mean other things that people are complaining about, like no profile and like your login to Battle.net. Of course they're going to remove that. They've been going to a single login for all their games for a while now. They're not going to have Warcraft 3. You log in with your Battle.net and then you have a separate Battle.net just for Warcraft 3. That doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, I've also been hearing that the update actively made the base game worse, and then you can't go back to the original base game. At least with your current account. That's what I've been hearing.
Possibly. I mean, I lost my copy of the original, so I've just been playing Reforged.
Right. Okay. Yeah, just from really an ethical standpoint, from everything I read of what Blizzard did with Warcraft 3, that's something that does deserve outrage. The false advertising, I don't care what company, I don't care what industry it's in, when you false advertise and you false promise, and then when your product comes out and that's not what was delivered, to then not give out refunds. And then since the original launch date, all you have to do is now apparently claim technical issues, and you will get your refund. But for a while there, Blizzard was just not allowing it because they were going to obviously lose a lot of money with all this outrage and being review bombed. It's the worst game on Metacritic reviewed of all time via user score. And when you read further into like what was advertised specifically, where it was a reforged campaign, fully rendered cutscenes, updated gameplay. The list goes on. It's really quite something how much they were just going to improve upon the game, and basically nothing was done. There was very little that they added to it. Now, Joey, you could probably speak more to that part since you're obviously playing it. But everything I've read and everything I've come across from just how people that pre-ordered the game, it's not something acceptable for any industry to do what Blizzard had done, and it's kind of speaking to the larger volume of Blizzard just kind of shitting on its fan base, and that's what EA has done. And then look at a lot of their products. 2K is doing a lot of the same things as well. That's why sports franchises are at an all-time low these days. So, you guys have any thoughts of that in general? But I'm glad you're having fun with the game, Joey, because that is the point of playing a video game.
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't look too much in the marketing. I saw that it was Reforged. I was drunk. I pre-ordered the game, and I'm happy that I did that. So I never looked into what they promised. The only thing I think I remember reading is that they're going to update the graphics, and they did that. Okay. So I wasn't expecting the best graphics. I don't care about the cutscenes that people said, oh, they showed it at whatever con. Oh, look at this cutscene that they made in live action or whatever. And I'm like, they never do that. Every game that they show at these events are always beefed up. I mean, like Witcher 3, it looked amazing, and then it was nothing like it when it first came out. Like, They do that all the time, so I don't ever trust any of that stuff anyway.
Well, that's false advertising in itself, but in this case, Blizzard, for every press release since then, kept promising, yes, this is what we're doing with the game. And then at some point, they decided they weren't going to do that, but then just didn't tell anybody. They just released the game, and everyone was really caught off guard.
When did Activision buy Blizzard?
I don't know.
I
don't know that off the top of my head.
Was it within the last 2 years?
No. I don't believe so. Let me look that up. Activision. Assholes by Blizzard. Also assholes. Let's see. 2013.
Huh.
Oh wow, that's been a while. Okay. Because everyone's blaming everything on Activision, but I guess maybe they took more control. I have no idea, because everyone's like, oh, this is Activision, why they're doing all these terrible things. But if it's been 7 years, I'm trying to think of what games came out, so I don't know. People are just blaming Activision.
Yeah, what I saw was, as the really scummy move, is that Blizzard was actively restricting refunds for Reforged, and then banning people from Blizzard forums who were assisting other people in getting their refunds. And it was only once the backlash reached the fever pitch that it has that they finally acceded and allowed people to get their money back.
Yeah, that was...
If I'm reading this correctly and I understand, Activision and Blizzard merged in 2008, and then later in 2013 something else happened. I guess maybe Activision had majority shares or something. But it's been a long time.
Yeah, it also sounds like a lot of the original developers from like 90s and 2000s of Blizzard have since left the company, so hopefully they're somewhere better now.
One of the main guys for Diablo left, a bunch of the Diablo team left. Most of the things that I've read on that, the developers are leaving because of Activision's influence on Blizzard. So they're changing the culture around, so a lot of the senior devs, or some of those teams, have jumped ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that with a lot of companies, whether it's Square whenever they buy someone, EA, especially when they buy some company, and they basically just kick out disgruntled employees, and they go and usually make their own studio.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened with BioWare.
Yep. Well, Joey, anything more, or shall I go on?
No, you're good to go.
All right. So, in preparation for the Bullet Hell cast, I looked into, because we're picking Sega Saturn games. There's a couple on there. One's really expensive, so I looked into the possibility of reproduction discs, which I've never dabbled in before. I've done a few reproduction carts, because those are very easy. You just pop them in and play, right? With disc-based games, is a little bit more complicated, because that's when they started doing a little bit more with the region coding with the discs. A pin or a connector in there that won't let your say American system play a Japanese disc game. There's ways around it. Sega was very loose in the pirating aspect of it. Like, there was always some sort of workaround, such as you can just straight up burn a disc for the Dreamcast, and it'll work on there. That probably attributed a number of things of its downfall, but regardless, so if you're looking to play, say, a Japanese game on your American Sega Saturn, you get what's called a what's it called? Hold on. Action replay cart. Okay.
Okay.
It also functions as a backup memory card. Okay, so it's a really cool thing. Basically, you just pop it in. It also functions as like a Game Shark or a what's the Nintendo one? Game Genie. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It also can function as that. So that's cool. But if you want to do a reproduction disc, what you have two options basically. You can purchase another action replay cart. Okay. And there's a lot of like how-to videos and all this. There's ways to do the disk swap trick, which could burn out your drive. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's a bad idea in its first place, and it could take you anywhere from 2 minutes to an hour to get a game working. So you buy another action replay cart. You burn this specific ISO program from your computer onto a disk. Okay?
Yes.
Guys follow me so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you burn this program onto a disk, and then you throw that disk in your Sega Saturn with this other action replay cart. Do not use your own. What this does is it basically wipes all the information off your action replay cart and reformats it into what's called a pseudo Saturn.
Oh.
Okay? So it kind of bypasses, more or less, like in theory, it bypasses the hardware inside to, I guess, confirm that your disc is legal tender. Okay?
Okay.
So once you do that, now your action replay cart is a pseudo Saturn cart. And then all you have to do is pop that sucker in the back, and you can play any sort of burned Sega Saturn game. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
The same concept works with the Dreamcast if you want to play a burn disc or a disc from another region. You burn this program on a disc. The difference is you don't have to have a cart in the back of your Dreamcast. Okay?
Okay.
What I did was, because I have a laptop that no longer has a disk drive, I would have had to buy a disk drive, blank discs, which of course they only come in like packs of 40 these days. But neither's expensive. You could get a drive for like $20, some blank discs for $7, whatever, plus shipping and everything. But then I did a little bit more research, and whether it's eBay or Amazon or whatever site you want to look for, people sell a pseudo Saturn cart. And if you go to the site I went to, the pseudo Saturn cart can also function as a couple other things. You can get it to be also a backup memory card, which is quite useful, because the Sega Saturn has a watch battery in the back as its memory card data bank, which is worthless because it dies like super fast. So you could be in the middle of a game and then bang, it dies, and then you lose all your data. So these memory card banks are quite useful, and I think necessary. So I took a chance. I spent $25, which would come out to how much money I would spend on all the other stuff that I'd need. And I bought a couple of the games that we're going to be playing for the next podcast on the Sega Saturn, just from an Etsy site. Thought I'd try it out. They were only $10. I'm like, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm out $20, whatever. And the pseudo Saturn didn't work, so that's another $25. It's not a huge loss, but it was worth the experiment. And I tried it first thing yesterday when I came in. Everything came in the mail, and sure as shit, it was simple. Pop it in the back. A program comes up. It runs itself, and it just plays the disc like it's a normal game. It's really cool. And the Etsy site, it has all the original disc artwork and everything. So if you put it like side by side, an actual like Sega Saturn disc, you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's really cool. If if you want to go into kind of the, because let's face it, a lot of Sega Saturn games are crazy expensive. Like they could go $200, $300, $400 range, and I personally don't have that kind of scratch nor desire to spend that much on a video game.
Yeah.
Let alone a not like boxed copy or anything. So a lot of these games I wish I could play and add to my collection, and I'm not above kind of going through this way. And when there's no other way to really play these games in any digital library, it's just kind of a good thing to add to the collection. It's pretty cool. So it's a rousing success. It's really easy. Didn't have to do a thing. I just ordered the Pseudo Saturn online, got it, got the Etsy repro discs, and they work. I definitely want to look into now perhaps some of the more expensive PlayStation 1 games that just have never been able to get nor find. So if I can somehow get something similar with the PlayStation, I'll have to look up that in the future. So, and then getting roused up for Yakuza remastered collection that's coming out tomorrow, in fact, upon recording. That's a collection of Yakuza 3, 4, and 5, all remastered on the PS4. I've been really adamant. I've been telling myself for a while, I have to finish the Yakuza series. I've played like 2 hours of every single game except 3, 4, and 5. So I played 0, Kiwami 2, and 6. And I have like fragments of the story, but nothing's completed. So I'm finally just saying, whenever I have free time and nothing's like dire for the podcast, I'm playing Yakuza 0. I'm going to finish it. Then I'm moving on to the next one. I'm going to finish these series. So Yakuza 0, I've been chipping away at it. I'm finally over the halfway point in this fucking game. And it's so, like, the story is so engrossing, to the point where, and even the thing about, have you guys played Yakuza before?
Nope. Although I want to play 0.
Familiar with it?
Nope.
0 is a fantastic place to start. So, because it's the origin story of everything, right?
Yeah.
So you really start from, like, scratch 0-1, hence 0. But the thing about Yakuza is, besides the engrossing stories and the long cutscenes and getting used to characters and how campy it is at times, well, most of the time, the side aspects you can do in this game are ridiculous. Of course, there's bowling in it, and you can hit on the chick working at the bowling alley, and you bowl her, and even if you bowl a perfect game, that's not very impressive to her. She just claps anyways. She's like, "Oh, you beat me." I'm like, "Bitch, I bowled a perfect game. You should be down on your knee."
Wait, is that the only reason you like this game? Because you actually can get a perfect score for once?
Hey, I have a perfect score, Joey. I have the ring to prove it. I don't need your sass. Okay,
You sure it wasn't a 299?
Just because I bowled a 299 to start off 2020, I don't need your sass. Okay.
That's not your only 299.
Okay, I have 15 others, but still. So there's a point in the game, and I didn't know 0 had this, is one of the guys, he's a cabaret club owner, and while he's doing the story stuff, the side thing is he still has to make money at the cabaret club, right? But there's these other cabaret clubs called the 5 Stars, like 5 other cabaret clubs banding together to try to overturn or overtake as the big player in town to the character's cabaret club. Well, he's traveling through town, and he notices that this, like, dive bar is really struggling. Well, it turns out it's a cabaret club, but on the very much smaller end, and one thing leads to another, and he realizes that the 5 Stars have been trying to run out all of the dive bar cabaret clubs, so they will have all the customers, and then their bottom line will interfere into his club's profit margin, right? It's very economics based, because the other character runs real estate, which I'm not interested in at all. But the mini game, so you decide to help out this dive bar, because if he can save the dive bar, then that will impede onto the other guys trying to impede on him. So it kind of works in many ways. So I got so caught up in recruiting women on the street to work at this club, and you have to, like, buy them shit and talk to them, and then you go on dates with them, which involve karaoke and disco and whatever, and I got so caught up in that, and then the mini game during the cabaret club is so much fun. It's just a single screen, and And you just have to send the girl to the table. A dude walks in, you kind of have to match up their like personalities with what the dude wants. And there's like smiley faces and stuff to kind of indicate that, oh yeah, that's the girl I want. And you can give the girls makeovers, and I'm like, 3 hours later, shit, I didn't play any more of the story. I've just been running this cabaret club. Fuck. I gotta get back to this underground fight club and really save the day, or whatever. So, Yakuza 0 is a blast. I can't wait to keep playing it, and maybe I'll get caught up in the cabaret club. That's what I've been doing. There. Went on quite long. Any comments or last things before we move on to the topic?
No.
Nope. I'm good.
All right. Long intro, lots to catch up on. So let me play the drop. We can move on with the cast.
Just make a Metal Gear Solid drop.
No Metal Gear Solid drop. That was already at the beginning of the cast.
Game over screen.
I don't know. Oh. Well, I can here. Perfect impression of the Metal Gear Solid game over screen. Here we go. Thanks to Joey's coaching skills. Here we go. Snake. Snake. And scene.
You need the music, man.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I brought tears to my eye.
Thank you, Joey. Couldn't have done it without you again.
It's no fun without the music.
You just see, when your acting skills, taught by my friend Joey here, are so perfected, the music is just automatically in your head.
It comes from the soul. Deep in the soul.
Deep in the Schwartz. Anyways, so topics here. Got a few ones that kind of piqued my interest in what's been going on the last few weeks. No PS5 announcement. No, Sony's just not ready for it, I guess. That's kind of a bummer. I was hoping something would have come out by this time, but nonetheless. Instead, we got Pokemon is now a piece of shit game, and the company is also shitty because it's now microtransaction and DLC heavy. We knew it was coming. We didn't want it to come, but here it is.
Wait, it has DLCs?
Yes. So Crown, and it's not just one DLC. It's 2 DLC. Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor.
Yay.
So hooray to that. You can buy a pack, I believe. You'll have to buy them separately. Now you can trade with people that have bought the DLC, so you don't, I guess, technically need to buy it, but, you know, if your friend bought it, then you get, hey friend, trade me your Pokemon that you paid for, basically.
What?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, imagine Pokemon Blue and Red, okay? But they had to pay for the DLC, okay?
Yes.
And you didn't, like, you paid for Blue, I paid for Red, and then Green came out in Japan, and I don't know. The analogy's, I guess, getting lost here. The point is, there's 2 DLCs, there's 2 Pokemon. I don't know what the story is. I don't care enough to read into any of that. The point is that it's not really necessary when it should just be 1 DLC, if at all. And then there's Pokemon Home on top of it. Now this is where the scum situation comes in, okay? Pokemon Home is basically what's been in almost every Pokemon game that's evolved and been in the past, and now it's all taken away and hidden behind a paywall for you to do. And that involves trading, the Pokemon bank system, the National Pokedex. Okay, so Pokemon Home has a bunch of other features too, like the National Pokedex. Quote, this was an example of the Pokemon Company going, see, there's just too much with the animations that we don't have. It's still the same shit that we do. And we can't have the National Pokedex anymore because it's just too much. There's too much Pokemon. There's too much of this, too much of that. We can't do it. Well, it was a big fat lie, because they did do it. Now it's behind a $16 a year paywall for all the features that were in past games.
Wait, 16 a year?
I know, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's still money nonetheless.
You have to pay $16 for a virtual bank to hold virtual animals to virtually trade to other people? That seems ridiculous.
Now, there is a free version you can get, but it's so compact that it's basically worthless. Like, you can only put one in the trade system at a time. You can only do... no, the Pokemon Bank actually isn't in the free version. So if you want that, and access to the decks, you have to pay for the premium version. Basically, everything that the Pokemon Company told the customers that couldn't be in the game, their words, are in the game, but you have to pay for it.
Bullshit.
Yeah. So it's quite scummy. And you need to have a membership to Nintendo Switch Online to also access this. So it's technically behind 2 paywalls. So there you go. And if you want to trade the DLC Pokemon, you have to have Pokemon Home.
Oh, boy.
Now, if I got any of this information wrong, I apologize. But the point is, Pokemon Home is a scumbag situation. It's what everyone was afraid was going to happen. And there was a lot of people saying, oh no, it's Nintendo, they don't do this. Well, they did it.
Yeah.
So not only was it a game that underperformed and I guess, what's the word? It didn't impress, right? It looks like a game that's 15 years old still.
Yep.
Okay. So, no steps forward, 3 steps back.
I would expect this kind of shit from Konami, but not from Nintendo.
That's why I don't play Pokemon anymore. I wish they would just make the game longer, maybe add some more Pokemon, but instead they added breeding and shinies and things I just don't care about.
Yeah, I'm not into those either, so...
I haven't.
Boo Pokemon. I'm outraged. I was very disappointed with the game itself. Just not a lot of innovation. We spoke about it on the Modern Cast quite a lot. People are still very much into Pokemon. I'm sure they're still going to buy all this shit, and they're going to make a ton of money, and no one's going to learn anything except that they're just going to keep doing this.
Yeah. Jim Sterling even did a video about that, on how gamer boycotts are generally completely worthless. I mean, people say they're going to boycott and not buy the game, and yet still sells like gangbusters.
Yeah, but I think if you do a couple in a row, you start ending up like Blizzard. I mean, people start going to buy Blizzard games, but it seems to be less and less.
Well,
less and less as time has gone on, yeah, that's for sure.
When the backlash is so overwhelming, like in Blizzard's case, then they have to take notice.
Yeah, I mean, but it's probably started something small like this with like the WoW community, and then slowly snowballed. We'll see what Nintendo does with their other platforms. If they do something like this with Zelda, people are going to be outraged again, but they'll buy the game. Nintendo fanboys are crazy.
Yeah, well, the difference is the Zelda DLC wasn't any good. Anyways. I think our theme of the last, like, couple years was all of the microtransactions, and to the point where we were just speaking to it ad nauseum of how much... I'm personally so against most concepts of DLC. I'm certainly against any form of microtransaction. I don't give a shit, because there's always the excuse, well, it should be only cosmetic. I go, bullshit, because we used to play games where the whole idea was to complete it and unlock everything. You unlock the cosmetics, you unlock extra levels. That was your incentive for trying to beat the harder shit in the game and get certain things. So you've taken stuff out, and now you're charging for it. That's why fighting games are pretty much dead to me. Sports games, I haven't bought a sports game in God knows how long because of all this shit. So, anyways, Pokemon is no exception now. It's no exception to the rule. They have completely outraged me. It's not. Anyways, let's move on. Phil Spencer, he's the man kind of in charge of Xbox these days. He was quoted saying Sony and Nintendo are not their primary competitors anymore. It's Google and Amazon.
What?
Yes, saying basically that cloud gaming, so Xbox and Microsoft are still very much on this cloud gaming thing that they wanted to push during the Xbox One era, right?
Yes.
Which led to a lot of their, downfall. It's led to a lot of their downfall. It's a big part of it. And as we know, the Google Stadia has been a fantastic failure.
Yep.
And I don't know what he means by Amazon, other than it's just it's a digital juggernaut. I don't know what they have to do with the gaming industry, but
Amazon could easily start cloud gaming with their AWS stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So once they want to get their hands in it, which maybe he knows something, maybe there's rumblings with Amazon trying to gear up for something.
Maybe, but the whole idea behind Microsoft has been this cloud gaming aspect to it, a Netflix gaming subscription, if you will. And Google's tried this. It has failed spectacularly. It's been quite the ride downhill to see. So I also think this is also pointing to the fact that Sony and Nintendo are so much better and ahead of the game, gaming-wise, than Xbox in this day and age, right now, in this era. Because the Nintendo Switch is like breaking system sales records, company sales. They've already passed, top of my head, I think it was like 30 million consoles already, which by the last known count, that's what Xbox One had. And it's not even half its age. So that should tell you something about the Xbox One. But this comment is also very interesting, and I put a link to the Polygon article. There's a couple of others out there you can read this on. But this brings up an interesting kind of theory that we could speculate on what the sex box is going to be. Okay? Because we already say it looks like a PC tower, right?
Yeah.
And could it, to me now, more and more, it looks like it's just going to be a Steam box, right? Where it's going to have your Xbox library in this Netflix style, that's Xbox Game Pass. It's still going to have a disk drive, so you can purchase a physical game still, much like you used to in PC gaming. And they're going to slowly go more and more towards this just fully digital aspect of gaming with Xbox. And they even moved on to say that it's not really going to have exclusives, even for the foreseeable future, right?
Yeah.
So this, more and more, seems to be just a digital box that you're going to have that can access a library that also has apps. All your favorite apps, your Netflix, your Amazon Prime, your Disney Plus, all that stuff. Basically what they wanted the Xbox One to be, now they're just stepping it up a notch with the latest technology.
Yep, it's just a PC tower now. It's like Jim Sterling said, consoles have become just very crap PCs.
I guess, but Nintendo and Sony aren't doing that. So maybe that's another reason why the Xbox is kind of alluding to the fact that, you know, they're going in such a different direction to get out of the console market and more into the digital market.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, they already started with their service that they have that you can play cross-platform. I mean, I can get games I can play either on my Xbox or my PC. So they've already started bridging the gap between their PC and the Xbox. So
yeah, I mean, I have the Game Pass. I have Game Pass on my my laptop here, PC, and it's worked out for me pretty well. I mean, it's only $5. I don't have access to all the games, but then again, most of those games are on the Game Pass that I have on PC. It's not a huge deal. What this means for Xbox, again, just to reiterate, Joey, are you familiar with what the Steam Box was or is?
Yeah, I have one.
You have one?
Yep.
Okay. Wait, you have a Steam Box or the?
I have the streaming one.
Okay, yeah, I have that too. It was like $10 on sale one day.
Yeah, I think it was that or $5. It was almost free, so I got it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty useful. I play Steam games through that pretty easily. I even have a Steam controller. Anyways, the Steam Box, no, Joey, was basically a console, a powerful console, or an updated PC, if you will, that functioned as a console that played Steam. And judging by the fact that you mixed it up with the streaming box, says enough about how good it sold. So my theory is, with this direction, and in 2020, maybe someday we can get to this point, I don't see the Sexbox being a commercial success that they expect it to be. It's like a high-end Roku device that can play games.
I can see this one being it, but this might be their last console. They might just be going straight into content, and that you play on a PC or some kind of streaming box like this that you can build. I mean, if it's successful, people are going to build that kind of build. But I mean, if I can just stream from my PC onto my computer, I'm just going to do that.
There you go.
Or PC onto a TV. Mixing up words here.
Right. The extra piece of news I have is Insomniac has now officially been bought by Sony. This news had come out prior. The extra note of information was it was bought for $229 million. They actually put the actual number came out. Unlike when Microsoft, I couldn't find this. Microsoft bought the 4 studios that I think it was 4 or 5. A year and a half ago, something like that. They bought like 4 or 5 studios, but no number came out on how much it cost to purchase. And Insomniac, yes, they've made games for other companies, but they've always kind of leaned more towards Sony in particular, and Sony buying them isn't really a shock, but it's their 14th internal studio, which is interesting because that's quite a lot. I mean, that gives you, if you stagger the games out, that gives you up to, 14 strong exclusives Sony could put out generation by generation. So, while Nintendo has IPs, right? Nintendo itself is the developer. They don't really own, say, Konami, for example. They have their own IPs, whether it's Donkey Kong, Mario, etc. The list goes on there. So Sony really boosting up their profile with adding another studio, and Insomniac is very good. There was no confirmation that another Ratchet and Clank game was going to come out, the follow-up from the 2016 one.
What about Spyro?
But,
I want a Spyro. They need to give me another Spyro.
Well, Spyro's owned by Activision.
What? So they made 3 Spyro games and they didn't own it?
Correct.
Son of a bitch. Activision.
Yeah, Activision. But a side note was that the Sunset Overdrive IP is now officially Sony's, although the original game is still an exclusive for the Xbox One that you can also get on Steam.
Maybe they're saving it for the PS5.
Maybe, but the fact is that the Sunset Overdrive IP stood out, and that was part of why Insomniac was so mad at Xbox, because the game was pretty good. I remember Kevin liking it. I've played a little bit of it. It's almost like souped up Jet Set Radio mixed in with Infamous. Thank you.
Yeah, I like Infamous.
So we could be looking at a Sunset Overdrive 2 for the PS5 era. And then just a side note, I've been scouring left and right. The only news that's for sure is the PS5 will be able to play PS4 games. Not all of them, but most of them. So it's kind of like an Xbox One to 360 thing. Remember that not all 360 games could play on the One? Excuse me.
Yeah. I think I recall a similar thing with Xbox 360 backward compatibility with regular Xbox games.
Mm-hmm. Do we think that the PS5 is actually going to be able to be fully backwards compatible with 1, 2, and 3?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Joey?
If we're talking about like actual discs, then no, but maybe digitally, possibly. But I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think disc-wise it's in the realm of possibility. I'm with you, Colin. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I mean,
but
PS2 was perfectly backward compatible with PS1 games, but this is like a whole 4 generations on top of the current generation.
All right. The only conceivable way I can see this working is if there's like 3 separate disk drives.
Yeah.
Which would actually be kind of cool in that V set. It'd be like 4 and 5 on this side, and then 1, 2, and 3 on the other.
Well, 3 could be in the same disk drive as 4 and 5 because they're all Blu-rays.
Yeah, but the internal structure of the PS3 is kind of like a Sega Saturn situation, from my understanding.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe someone with more technical knowledge of the inner workings of these consoles could inform me, but it's my understanding that the PS3 is so different than the PS2 and PS4 that it's pretty much running its own thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why
Was the PS3 the first Blu-ray?
Yeah.
No, PS3, yeah.
Blu-ray is not compatible with regular disc, unless later ones became. I think when they first came out, they could only play Blu-ray. And I think now they might be able to. I'm not sure.
But I remember the first generation PS3. It was sort of backwards compatible with 1 and 2, but it had a hell of a time playing a lot of games. Even the Ratchet and Clank games would just they just wouldn't work on the PS3. It was a rough time.
It also could be how the processors are. I mean, since they're so stagnant in how games are accessed. That's why with AMD's new processors, some games, well, their newest ones, before the newest ones, they had different channels and games weren't optimized for it, so it would be terrible performance. So it could be something like that with the actual hardware and how they game or they develop towards it.
There you go. And then, if just the last bit of news, I was fiddling with this before the podcast. I'd just come across it on itch.io. Itch.io.
Yes.
There is a horror demo pack. It's like a jam pack.
Oh.
There's 17 games you can demo, and they're all from the PS1 era, so they all have those graphics. It's just demos of 17 horror games with PS1 graphics. It's called hauntedps1.itch.io. It's just Demo Disc 2020. I've played a couple of the games. It's a total blast. You just have no idea what to expect. One is like a horror simulator.
Yes.
It's first person. You're just going through like a simulated haunted house. It's like any simulation game, but it's all in PS1 graphics, so it just looks very blocky and goofy. There's a goofy third-person one that's in the realm of like a Resident Evil. The list goes on. I can't wait to play more of these games. I recommend people check it out if you just want a good goofy laugh. And there's 17 games to try out, so there you go.
Speaking of which, did you ever play any more of Alone in the Dark 2 since my visit?
No, I actually restarted playing Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare. Yeah, it got that itch going. I did look up a walkthrough with how to like play Alone in the Dark 2.
Yeah.
It's really hard because nothing is clear what you're supposed to do. You just have to guess and run into things and hopefully something happens. like that at the beginning where you're trying to shoot the enemies, but they just kill you faster than you can shoot them, or they stun lock you. You're just supposed to kill the first guy and then run straight into the statue and hopefully you get down beforehand. There's nowhere else to go. But there's no indication that you're supposed to do that.
Shit.
But that's also why when you get behind the statue, the guys can't hit you. Is because you're supposed to push it.
Oh, yeah.
And then they won't hit you while you're pushing the statue.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's the idea behind that. So, Just not used to the game, what it expects out of you. But yeah, it's super fun. Super tough.
All right.
All right, let's get on to the main topic. That was a good time. Good time. Let's see. What do I want to play? What is... You know what? How about Pokemon? That piece of shit company.
Because nothing says stealth games like Pokemon.
Well, of course, you got to sneak up on these little creatures, beat them to death into submission, and then fight to the death for your pleasure. It's the ultimate stealth.
For sure.
All right, so this was your theme pick, Colin, getting swapped with the bullet hell with Kevin, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. Why did you pick stealth games?
Just came to mind. I was just coming up with topics randomly at work, and then I just came up with 3 of them, and stealth was one of them. And since we're now at a point in time where several of our picks can be considered retro, and because I've played majority of them growing up, I figured, why not?
There you go. Just my general thought over this, are these games, are stealth games in general just tough? Did you find a lot of these just really tough and hard and difficult to get a handle on?
A couple of them, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's really more of a test of your patience than your skill, although skill is very heavily involved. Because the thing about stealth games, like Extra Credits said on their video, is that they have to make waiting fun. And there's a lot of waiting around in a lot of stealth games, because you gotta like wait for patrol guys to pass by and have their back turned to you, or wait for them to stop so that you can grab them and knock them out, or wait for a certain light to like go out so you can pass through the darkness. Stuff like that, really.
Do you have something to say, Joey?
Oh, I think they're hard, especially in this era with the terrible mapping and stuff of that. Because a lot of times I thought I was sneaking up behind someone, and then all of a sudden they turn around and shoot me. When I was like, I wasn't even close to you, but apparently I touched them.
Or made too much noise.
Yeah, but I was super silent.
Yeah, I had a bit of a harder time with a couple of these than I did when I was younger, because I guess it's because of my PS2 controller, my current one, because it's a GameStop knockoff, and it's the analog sticks are a little stiffer than an official controller, so it was a bit harder to only push it just slightly enough for you to move slowly. So.
Let's see. I liked your comment over it's a test of your patience more than the game is overly difficult. I found a lot of these were heavily based on trial and error.
Yeah.
And being that I'm also kind of replaying a little bit, just poking away at it, is Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare.
Yeah.
That has, it's not so much a stealth element to it, but it does test your patience in the trial and error part of it all, whether it was the puzzles or trying to get around enemies, and hopefully you shoot one and figure it out. Resident Evil is much of the same way, but these in particular, you really have to figure out kind of one step at a time on levels. Okay, does this work? No. All right, maybe I have to go somewhere else, try a different weapon, maybe utilize a different distraction technique.
Yeah.
Stick to walls and hide in dark places is very similar with a lot of these games. And they're all and we're gonna finish the podcast with a special game at the end, which kind of laid the groundwork for a lot of these games that we're gonna cover on this cast, actually.
Yeah.
So.
If you want a good modern example of a good stealth game, look up Mark of the Ninja. That's like a 2D stealth game, and it's quite engrossing. It's something I got on my as part of the PSN holiday sale.
Well, what I've noticed with stealth games as they've evolved over the years is there's a lot of directional help. So there's a clear objective, and it really helps. And the game helps you along the way, kind of meet that objective, right? It helps you draw out a path of where you need to go. The mapping system's a lot better.
Yeah.
There's a whole slew of weapons at your disposal to kind of really make things a lot easier on your gaming experience. Obviously, graphics and sound mechanics have come a long way since the late 90s, early 2000s, when stealth games really started.
Yeah.
So, from that aspect, I think Assassin's Creed is kind of revamped a lot of it, where it's not just stealth in general. You can play extremely stealth. Uncharted, you can play a lot of these things as stealth as possible. Taking out enemies without them noticing, or you could just go in guns blazing.
Yeah, the new Wolfenstein games are a good example. Because you have option of both, although I tended to go stealth a lot more often.
It's kind of how Payday 2 is. All you do is heist, so you can go super silent, or you can go in guns a-blazing.
You can do that in Grand Theft Auto 5 as well. And I like to switch it up every other mission. It's like, this one, I'm just going to murder everyone in the bank. And this one, I'm going to make sure I steal that diamond ring and not a soul's going to see. Ha ha ha. And then turn on my teammate and take all the money. Ah ha ha ha.
There's only a few missions I like to do super stealthy. Other than that, I like to bulk up, set some turrets, and plow everyone down.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get into the first game, shall we, Colin?
Alrighty. First game is Hitman 2 Silent Assassin on the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and PC. It was developed by IO Interactive, who also did Kane and Lynch and Freedom Fighters. And it was published by Eidos Interactive. It was released on the PS2, Xbox, and PC in October 2002, and then on the GameCube in June 2003. Now, I should start by saying I've never played a Hitman game. The closest I've come was watching my brother play a little bit of the original Hitman on the computer way back when. And our computer being what it was, the experience was spotty at best.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I played the PS2 version for this podcast, and there is the available Hitman HD Trilogy for the PS3 that you can get.
Oh yeah, I got the Xbox version for $4 in Rhode Island when I was visiting.
And Joey and I have a little bit of a history with this game.
Do tell.
Where we sucked ass at it.
Yeah, it is a pretty tough game.
This game is hard as balls.
It really is. It's very open-ended, and the guards tend to be very alert.
Well, there's a reason behind that. So I beat this game.
Yes.
I beat 2 games for the podcast, and I played another 2, more or less as a reminder. And then the last one I played for the first time, which I've meant to for a long time. But Hitman 2 Silent Assassin was always a game I really wanted to like as a young teenager.
Yes.
Always went in guns blazing because the stealth aspect of it is really fucking hard.
Uh-huh.
And as you said, it's very open-ended. So I want to know, Joey, what you thought of Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. Revisiting this game like 18 years later after it came out.
I still think it's hard.
Well, it's still hard, yes. That's no doubt. But the experience, your thoughts, your emotions that you felt.
It was fun. I mean, it's just not as fun as playing with you. But, I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, the graphics kind of suck, but that's just how it is. And I also want to note that we picked some really terrible games to try to find, because a lot of games we have are part of franchises that decided to start over with their naming, Because there's a Hitman 2 that came out in 2018.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we specified Silent Assassin, which you have to do these days.
Especially on Google.
So, I mean, I enjoyed it. Although I sucked at it. I sucked at pretty much every one of these games.
How far did you get in Silent Assassin here?
I only played for about 30 minutes.
Okay, so like 2 missions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you... Okay, so you does that include the tutorial at the Italian monastery?
Yeah.
Okay, so you did the monastery, and then you tried to rescue him at the like the mansion place.
Yeah, man, I remember the mansion. Like it.
Yeah, where we'd always go in guns blazing because we sucked.
Well, sometimes we tried going silent, and then it ended up guns blazing, and we sucked.
Yeah.
Well, you have to go in silent.
Where's my Italian pastor, motherfuckers? Bang! Oh, he's not here.
You have to go in silent for the first half until you kill your primary target. Then you can go guns blazing.
I mean, that's kind of the... well, okay, so the objective... The reason why it's called Silent Assassin is the objective is to kill your target that is debriefed before each mission by, like, let's call it home base. I forget what the chick's name is, but she briefs you on the entire mission prior. The game's based around, at first, Hitman here. He's like devastated from the first game that we don't really know. We just know like shit happened, and he wants to go into hiding and kind of live his life in peace. He's really in a mental state, right?
Yep.
Which I didn't remember at all from 18 years ago. I'm like, wow, this is actually deeper than I thought.
I don't even remember any story.
Right. Well, there barely is one, but it's there at the beginning of the game. So the Italian pastor who became his friend gets kidnapped by a dude named like Sergey or some shit. And once you play the first mission and you realize the pastor isn't there, the organization Agent 47 here works for basically goes, you know what, he's probably dead. We can't really find him. We can't locate him. And Agent 47, being a badass hitman, he just goes, yeah, he's probably dead. All right, well, since these people found me and I wanted to, be in seclusion, I'm just going to become a hitman again. And then you go around the world from the agency giving you various missions, and after about half the missions, then it ramps up in difficulty. Supposedly, it's just higher targets, and of course, Agent 47's like, I want more money. It's going to be like 3 times my rate. Well, that's going to come with tougher assassinations. So that makes sense. And then the last 2 missions, you realize that the pastor is alive. There's a mission where you're actually set up by this guy Sergey with another hitman agent, looks like you, and then the last mission you're back at the monastery where a big like gunfight ensues. That's the only one where you're supposed to go in guns blazing. You're supposed to kill everyone. However, I'll get into that in a second. That last mission is absolute bullshit, and it's broken, and it hurt a lot of the game for me because of how broken that was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get past, like, the second mission. I mean, I beat the second mission, but didn't play further.
So one thing I learned very fast, and this is very much a trial and error stealth game, okay? Yeah. Because the whole objective is to hit your target and then get out unnoticed. And you're given a ranking at the end of it, Silent Assassin, Pro, etc. Or you can go in guns blazing, which you'll be labeled a murderer, mass murderer. Which is funny to an extent, where there's gonna be missions where you just go, fuck this, and I'm just gonna murder everybody. So there is that aspect of the game. In a lot of it, what ends up happening is you are simply given a target and a map of the area that you're going to. So your goal or your path is essentially find the target, right? So you can go in guns blazing, find the target, restart the mission, and then try to get there without being noticed. What makes this really difficult is the fact that enemy patrols have insane distance perception.
Yeah.
In which you have to stick to walls, hide behind cover, and you basically maneuver Agent 47 to be behind a tree so that person in the distance can't see you. Because if your character, and you can go in and out between third and first person to help this, if your character can't see the person, then they can't see you, and then you can switch to third person and kind of maneuver them again. So there's a interesting aspect to this. So I really wanted to beat this game for the podcast and get a really good in-depth, because the Hitman series is well regarded in gaming.
Yep.
And there's a lot of games out there. Let's see, there's Blood Money, there's Contracts, there's Absolution on the PS3, which I've never played. I played Contracts when I was living in Germany on the PC. I don't really have very many memories of that, because the whole game was in German, and I didn't know German yet. And then there's the revamped series on the PS4. There's Hitman and Hitman 2, which brought an episodic name. Well, Hitman 1 is episodic, which is kind of a bullshit sales pitch.
Yeah.
Pay for the episode. And then Hitman 2 is a full-end story, which I really quite enjoyed. I wish I would have covered it more on the Modern Gamecast, because it really just went under the radar. Okay, but anyways, back to Hitman 2. So Hitman always starts out with fiber wire, where you can choke out enemies. And this pretty much is your, if you want to play stealthily, this is your weapon that you're going to use 9 out of 10 times, right? Yeah. Approach your enemy without anyone noticing. Use cover, stick to walls, and the other thing enemies have besides the distance vision, it is peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Which I can't say I've played any other game like this. So if your character isn't... Usually in a lot of stealth games, the character has to be completely turned around and they notice you. In Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, all they have to have is their head turned, and they see you from a distance. That's what makes this game so ridiculously hard.
Yeah. That's why you gotta get your disguises.
Right, so the objective is to get the disguise, and I've seen like people speedrun this game using a glitch where you can skate the character.
Oh yeah.
You just keep tapping the run button, and you skate the character, and all of the enemies will just think you're walking, because the objective is to not run. If you run, you are labeled as suspicious to the AI. So the AI is actually really, really smart in the game.
Yeah.
Which brings about more difficulty. But if you walk, they don't see you as suspicious. They see you as another patron. And if you're wearing a disguise, they definitely don't notice you. Mm-hmm. So it is a test of patience. But if you look up a speed run of Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, it is absolutely hilarious. They'll skate the character to the disguise. Or if even necessary, they'll skate straight up to the enemy. In the first Russian mission, where you have to go to the Pushkin building and kill one of the generals, and he gets into a limo, you can skate the character straight up to the limo, drop the sniper rifle before they search you, lay down a bomb at the moment that they're like looking at the AIs looking at the ground, and blow up the car, and then skate away. You can beat the mission in like 30 seconds. It's really funny.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. The speed runs of Hitman 2 Silent Assassin are really funny. I was looking it up.
Wait, this guy he's destroying this mansion level with the skate. I'm watching a speedrun right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I tried the first mission with the skate technique. It's really, really funny. It's actually really entertaining to play this way. But I wanted to play kind of Silent Assassin, because I've played the game mass murderer style before, but I wanted to play this Hitman game the way it's meant to be played, or the way its title says it wants you to play.
Yeah.
Right. And if I had more than 2 weeks to play this, I would have done the trial and error. Tried every mission over and over again until I get it right. But I don't have that kind of time. So instead, I went online and bought the old Prima strategy guides.
Yeah.
On eBay. I bought one on eBay for $3, shipping included, so it cost like no money. And I followed this strategy guide to the T, like Final Fantasy style.
Yes.
Right? I was like, okay, this thing's going to tell me each way, where to go, who to look for, and I played it through that, and this game was a fucking blast. Okay? It was so fun. I felt so empowered. I'm like looking at it's like my own like mission briefing right next to me, and there's someone in my ear, Metal Gear Solid style. It's like, okay, now you gotta. I'm sorry, let me do the audio. Okay, now you gotta make sure you go to the left of the building. Don't look up because then they'll see you. You gotta look to the. Okay, anyways. My favorite mission was definitely going into the Japanese household and using the poisoned fish to poison the target. That was my favorite mission in the entire game of Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. The only downside to that mission and doing it Silent Assassin style is you don't actually see the dude get killed. You just see the little text in the bottom just say he was killed, and I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. I want to see this dude like choke, right?
Yeah.
What they fix in later Hitman games is all the things that you're kind of annoyed about in this game. Like, you don't know where to go. You don't know where anything is. If you miss anything in the mission briefing or don't understand it, there's no way to like bring it back up. The UI...
You do have the ability to bring the briefing back up.
Well, it's more than that. Like, it's just kind of this 4-step rundown. It's like, here's your target, here's this, right?
Yeah.
If you don't quite understand what those 4 things are, then you're just totally lost. So they fixed everything, and the UI, I can't say never. It took me so long to get the UI in this game figured out. Because it's just text boxes everywhere, and you have to highlight. That's something you and I, Joey, had so much trouble with 18 years ago. Did you guys have any issues with like switching to fiber wire, switching your guns, this and that?
Yeah, it's something that happens in real time, so if you've been spotted, then it's really hard to get like your double pistols or assault rifle out in time before you get gunned down. Yeah, when I was playing on the Xbox, you had to hold down the button and then switch through it with the D-pad and such.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a bit unwieldy.
Do you have trouble, Joey?
Yeah. It just felt slow, but the speedrunner has no problem. He just literally just ran past 4 guards.
So, a lot of the later missions are really cool. The Japan snow stage, where you're going through like this mountainside, is impossible. Because the sniper guards on a tower in the distance can see you through the tree line, so it's a matter of just luck, which is horseshit. I gave up and went through that mass murderer style. The Pakistan, Middle Eastern levels aren't really all that fun. The cult leader one is really cool, where you're going through a hospital. And you have to sneak in as a doctor and then cut his artery and then get out before the cult leader's like disciples kind of notice that he's dead kind of situation.
Yeah,
so that was a cool mission. And then you get to the final one. Here's the problem: there's 2 guards at the start, and the way they're positioned, you have to essentially break the game to kill these two guys stealthily. Because once one of those two guys notice you, and it's almost too easy for them to notice you, even if you're going through stealth. Because no matter what, they'll be alerted that the other one died and then see you right away. Once one of those first two guards see you, then everybody in this building sees you. And that's when it gets... And they just maul you, and there's no way for you to kind of combat it all. Then it's just a matter of random draw if you live or not. And there's a sniper that'll just take you out super easily. What you have to do is kill the first guard. You have to... basically, it's counterintuitive to everything that you've experienced in the game up to this point, where it's like, you have to almost exploit the skate glitch in order to get past this, where you can skate into a corner, and then they turn around and don't see you, but in every other instance in the game, the character will know you're next to them because they have peripheral vision. In this one, they don't. So then you kill the guard, and then the other one will come running, and what you do then is drop your weapon, right? And then that character will glitch out, he'll turn around, and then you can fiberwire him. It's a horrid glitch. I had to look it up online, because I was just getting so destroyed in this final mission. And then it's just a AK-47 fest, essentially, where you're just blowing guys away with sniper rifle, and the final boss fight is kind of lame. And if my one gripe with the game is, I wish there was kind of a boss fight, a little bit of variety to the missions, rather than killing everyone with fiber wire. So that's my in-depth Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. I haven't done an in-depth game review in quite a long time. So
it's on a game I picked.
I'm passing the game. Yeah, I'm passing the game. It's hard as shit. I did beat it with a strategy guide, and the final mission can go fuck itself. I hated that.
Yeah, I gave it a pass too. Hard as shit, but it kind of reminds me of when I was playing Assassin's Creed 1, because I remember those guards being super alert all the time, and I was trying to avoid killing anybody, but after a while I got so frustrated, I was like, fuck it, you all die! And then...
It's usually how Assassin's Creed games work for me.
I don't know, after Assassin's Creed 1 it got a lot more reasonable, but... In any case...
Well, I mean, one pet peeve of mine, and this is kind of just of the era, is when you kill one enemy or, like, one sees you, everyone's alerted.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how? So. And Hitman 2 doesn't have that, actually. It's only the people in the area are alerted. Like, if another character's near one, then it's almost like he yelled at the dude, so then two will come over. And then if the body's found, then the whole place will be alerted, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm passing Hitman 2, by the way.
Yeah, same.
I'm passing it.
Although honestly,
right.
The one time I really well and truly felt like I was having fun playing was when I had just had a cup of coffee, and thus my brain was working at full capacity.
Huh.
I might not go back to it, but I can tell it's a competent game.
So the game clocks in around 15 hours. It goes for about $5. It's not an expensive game. And just a last little tidbit. The game's graphics are actually quite ahead of its time. There is quite a few glitches in the game because of how high-end it's made. They did a lot of things that had never been done before at the time. And the not so much the atmosphere, but the art everywhere. So if you're in when you go to areas, so if there's like 3 missions in this region, like Russia or something, you can actually see in the distance a past mission you've done.
Oh yeah?
Right? Yeah.
Neat.
So like for example, you're in the hospital killing the cult leader. In the distance, you can see the island of the other hospital or hotel area that you were at.
That's pretty cool.
So it doesn't do that for all of them, but you can see. So there's a lot of detail in the game, which is quite something.
Yeah. All right. So, shall we move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next one is Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell for the PS2, Xbox, GameCube, and PC. Now, it's developed and published by Ubisoft and released on November 17th, 2002 on all the platforms I mentioned. Now, this is yet another game that back in the day I rented from Blockbuster, but never ended up buying until now. Mm-hmm. But I remember really liking it back then and actually beating it. Now, I also remember this game having a lot of innovations to the... Well, this game is considered one of the most famous stealth games of all time, right up there with Metal Gear Solid. And it's easy to see why. I mean, it goes all out with its stealth mechanics. I mean, even in normal difficulty, you have to be on your toes at all times. Even while crouching, moving too fast will give away your presence because you're making too much noise. And I remember this game had a lot of innovations to stealth mechanics at the time. Like, there's the ability to jump up and prop yourself up with your feet on the walls close to the ceiling in a narrow hallway. And thus, the guards will pass underneath you without seeing you if you're in the dark. And then there's also using thermal goggles to deduce keypad codes from residual body heat. And then also deducing a rendezvous target from the fact that he has a prosthetic leg, thus it shows up different on thermal. I mean, all that was pretty cool, even if it's fairly standard now. And the visibility meter is super helpful. It's like, on the darker end, you're virtually invisible, but on the far light end, you're lit up like a Christmas tree. And then, although it kind of boggles the mind why nobody ever sees your glowing green goggles, which is like the infrared night vision stuff.
Right. Which
many have come to associate with Sam Fisher, the character. Now this game is a lot more straightforward than Hitman. It's that the levels are pretty linear, even though there's multiple ways of taking out groups of people at certain points. And it actually does have a pretty comprehensible story, even if it's largely your typical America versus Russia Cold War stuff.
America versus that douchebag country, Georgia. That's what it is. You know, that former airline company, Colin.
Also, the state of the United States.
Yes, clearly this was a self-impeded war between the state of Georgia and the United States itself.
Yeah, hey. I kind of like that in this story there's kind of a bit of social commentary in that the news segments between the missions continually cut off before certain things are said. Because I remember being kind of baffled by that way back when. It's like, the number of casualties is in the high to the next segment.
Right.
Sort of a lying by omission type deal. And then there's the random funny moments between the NPCs. Like at one point, a crooked cop pretends to be two people at the police station to give this civilian guy a runaround. And then at another point, this chef is making a special dish for a certain higher up nobody likes, and then one of the officers comes in, spits in it, and they thank each other. It was pretty funny.
You wanted to say something, Joey?
Yeah, I like the scene with the cop. Ooh, no, that's the next window. Hey, but you're the same guy. Yeah, but this is personal relations window. Oh, but I need help. You can sit down. Someone will come help you eventually.
It's like, this is bullshit. You're the same guy. I could have you arrested, you know. Yeah.
So this was another game that I beat. This was the second one.
Yeah. It's one of the ones I played the most of all of our cast games.
Yeah. The game How Long to Beat says the game clocks in about 15 hours. This one only took me about 9, and I played this kind of incongruent with Hitman 2, and because of Hitman 2's difficulty, I found Splinter Cell exceedingly more easy.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a lot more linear, and thus you're not as overwhelmed with options as to how to carry out the mission. And there's less trial and error.
Well, the other thing is, even if you... So, I discovered that the tutorial mission in Splinter Cell is basically, this is how you should play every level in the game. This is your blueprint. You should take out lights to concede yourself in the dark, stay in the dark because of your meter, hide the bodies in the dark, and use... the kind of dart gun puts people to sleep, or the electrical slash or like taser.
Yeah,
weapon.
The sticky shockers.
Yeah, the sticky shockers. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's your blueprint, right? So stick to the dark, hide enemies in the dark, and take out the lights, and use your sticky bullets, basically. There's a couple other things that pop up, like your grenade gun that you can gas people out, which is kind of cool. There wasn't a whole lot of variety to the amount of weapons that you can choose, but this is the first game of the Splinter Cell series, so that gets a pass, right?
Yeah.
If this was like the fourth one that played like this, I'd be questioning things, but so once that blueprint was taught to me. And being that the levels are, in fact, linear, because there isn't really any other place you can go, maybe take a left instead of a right every once in a while situation.
Yeah.
I have to do this wacky wall run leap thing to get to a ledge. Some of the mechanics didn't go so well. I played on the GameCube, so this was kind of awkward at times, but I never really felt like the controls impeded me from playing.
Yeah.
But the true reason why I found this so much easier than Hitman 2 was because if an enemy sees you or you mess up, you can just shoot his ass, right? With the sticky gun or the dark or whatever, and then just throw his ass in the dark. And if another guy comes, do the same. Your mission is fine.
Yeah.
The fact that you're given, most of the time, 3 alerts. 3 mistakes, basically. I'm sorry. The fourth one was always check the corner for a camera and then shoot it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You follow that blueprint, you will be fine the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So I beat this game so much faster than I was expecting. I rather enjoyed it. I did feel like the game lacked like a boss fight or something, because the last one where you're fighting the dude in like the bunker, and you have to hack the automatic guns.
Oh yeah.
So guys like don't get on you from behind, and you can just take out the general that way. There were exceptions to certain moments, but I never felt like the game was too hard. If you get this blueprint down and you stick to the blueprint, the game will be super doable even for a new person to stealth games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good beginner stealth game.
Yeah. What about you, Joey?
I had a lot of difficulty.
Did you follow the blueprint?
Yeah, but I don't think I ever got the extra guns or whatever, but I mean, I bought the game on Steam for $10 and I played it. I don't know if it's because of the PC version, but it felt like every time I would sneak up on someone, they would turn around and shoot me 3 times before I could get my pistol up. So I'd be like dead before I could even like take them out. So I don't know why, and it seems like they always turn around, even though I was all the way in the dark. Like even the first part of the prison or the cop place where you can shoot out all the lights and the guard just walks through, literally in the dark, crouching, going as slow as I can, and he turns around and shoots me. I don't know if it's just the PC or if maybe I just really suck at it, but it seemed to happen more often than not, to the point where I would just bait guards around the corner, shoot them, because I couldn't figure out other ways to get past some parts. So,
Well, yes. When you got close to an enemy, they like knew you were there, and it was seemingly too close. I found that if you just, because they will more 9 times out of 10, a guard will come to you while you're in the dark, and then you can just take him out right there. And that's even, you don't really have to be behind them if you're in the dark. Just run up to them. If you're in the dark, run up to them in the dark and whack them, and they'll be out before the game will trigger them noticing you. I guess that's exploiting it in a way of the game's faults, but I quickly got used to that. Or just pop an enemy from a distance, which happened more often than not. So I think I played exactly how you did, Joey.
yeah, but I don't know. The aiming was kind of bad on the PC as well. Like, I would have them in the middle of the crosshair, but it would shoot either low or high. And I'm like, I just couldn't figure it out. My gun was not accurate.
Well, there is a few guns where you have to hold your breath. There's a button to do that, and that will steady the gun for a second. Did you know to do that?
No, I did not.
Ah, well, there you go. So, no level in particular pissed me off. Unlike Hitman 2's final level, I liked the oil rig level. I did notice that there were checkpoints.
Yeah.
Throughout the level, which made the game also exceedingly easier instead of having to repeat entire levels.
I felt like some of them were spaced a little too far apart, because there were a bunch of parts in some of the earlier levels I had to repeat a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So, I'm passing Splinter Cell. I have Pandora Tomorrow and Chaos Theory, which I've only dabbled in, but we're racking up quite a list of kind of sequels to games that we've played on the podcast.
Yeah, but
so maybe that could be a theme in the future.
What do you mean? Like sequels? I mean, the first games of series that we've already played?
No, like just another game in the series to games we played on the podcast.
Oh, I see.
So like Splinter Cell, the next one could be Pandora Tomorrow or Chaos Theory. Castlevania, Curse of Darkness, now we can play Lament of Innocence kind of situation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sequels to...
It's like one before it or after it situation.
Sequels to games we've played.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So Ubisoft seems to have a formula for stealth games pretty good, and if you want to go in guns blazing, you totally can. So.
Yeah, I think it was Ubisoft Montreal that played this one, or developed this one. Those guys had quite a good track record back in the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I give this one a pass, too.
I want to say I found it funny that this game, through all the trainings, like, you gotta be stealthy, and then the first mission, you run into a burning building, where you need to run everywhere, and then shoot out glass. So, I mean, I'm going to pass it, but I just thought it was hilarious. Like, stealth, then run into this burning building. And also, there's times where, like, don't go in the courtyard, and my guy would fall and literally die and be like, I told you not to touch the courtyard. I was like, that guy's dead. I'm sorry, my body fell. But I'm going to pass it.
Excuse me while I get my femur out of my rib cage.
Yeah. Game's only $4, so there you go.
Yeah.
$10 on Steam.
$10 on Steam, $4 on the other console. So, all right. So I will do Kevin's pick.
Alrighty.
Since he is not here. He picked Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation.
Metal Gear.
We've played Metal Gear in the past. I believe we played 2.
Yes, we did.
So now we're playing Metal Gear Solid. PlayStation goes for about $14, so it's not too expensive. Developed, published by Konami when they made good games. Released September 3rd, 1998. The youngest game on the podcast today.
Indeed.
Clocks in at about 13 hours, which is very reasonable. I played only about a couple hours because I've beaten this game a couple times before. And so it was more or less a refresher course, and something occurred to me. Now, a lot of people know about the boss battle, where you have to switch the controller into controller port 2.
Yeah, yeah.
And the game goes all meta on you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the most
a dick at times.
That was probably the most fourth wall breaking part of the game.
So I looked up again to refresh my memory of what that moment is, and I swear if I was playing this game again and I had no idea, because I was trying to think of my first time playing it, and I'm thinking about, man, if I didn't know that that's what I had to do, I don't think I would have known what to do.
Yeah, well, when I played it way back
It's very cryptic.
When I had to play it way back when, at some point, like, Colonel Campbell will come on the codec and tell you, switch it to the other port.
I don't know, even, there's something about that when he's telling you that. I'm like, what is he talking about? Because think about back in 1998. Think to then. This game came out. You had some dude in a video game saying switch to the other port. Would you be like, so switch my weapon? Am I supposed to, like, change hands of the weapon? Reload? Like, switch to the other port? What? Maybe go somewhere else on the map? Maybe it's ports?
I don't know. It kind of built up.
Am I supposed to make my character drink port wine?
I don't know. Up to that point, there were other fourth wall breaks that kind of built you up to that, like the guy you get out of the little bomb situation with the Revolver Ocelot fight. He tells you that Meryl's codec is on the back of the CD case, and then up to that point, Psycho Mantis will read what's on your memory card, and also you put your controller on the floor, it vibrates and moves. So up to that point, I'd say there was a fair amount of indicators that what's going on is in the real world as much as in the game. But maybe that's just me.
Maybe it's just me thinking that way. What do you think, Joey, about all these fourth wall breaking things this game was doing?
I mean, if you're not expecting it, it's kind of going to ruin the game. Like, the controller port thing.
I think depending on your mindset, it could also blow your fucking mind.
It could, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of...
Well,
we
have played Eternal Darkness of the whatever mind thing. Eternal Darkness in the GameCube.
Sanity's Requiem.
Sanity's Requiem, yeah. I don't know why I was thinking like the Jim Carrey movie. Is that a Jim Carrey movie? Anyways. Eternal Darkness, where like if you're playing it on a flat screen TV but all those CRT things start coming up, you're just like, hey.
Yeah. The Psycho Mantis fight did that too. At one point, the screen will go all black with Hideo in the corner instead of video.
Yeah. Very odd.
Yeah.
As for a stealth game, I consistently got frustrated with Metal Gear Solid. It took me a while to get a handle on these controls. I don't know why.
Really? I don't know. I didn't find them too bad. I don't know. Maybe that's just because I played it before, but at the same time, it's quite a bit different from other games. Like, I can never get used to the circle button being the action button.
Well, I mean, that's common in a lot of Japanese games.
Not in any of the games I played.
Yeah, well. That's actually more common in Japan than the cross button. Haha.
Well, one of our other games on this cast is very Japanese, and it had the X button as the action button, or the check button, really.
I thought I was using circle, and it was working.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, in any case.
Triangle was back out. Anyways, I could be wrong. I might be remembering wrong. Anyways, I know if you get like Japanese versions of games, it's circle or C in some cases of Sega games. Anyways, Metal Gear Solid, just trying to get used to the controls in this game. I don't know what it was, whether it was kind of the perspective or the top-down view of it all, and me not having played Metal Gear Solid in a hot minute. I did eventually get my handle back on it, but it took a little while, which I wasn't expecting. That kind of threw me off for a little while, whether it was going on under the tank at the beginning, and I'm like backing up instead of going forward, and then I get seen, and the I'm like, bitch, you fucker. Yeah. as for the enemies scene, I'm just shit at Metal Gear Solid games when it comes to stealth.
Oh yeah.
It just does not matter which Metal Gear Solid I play. I am just no good at how to be stealth in these games.
Yeah, me either. Especially, Snake Eater? Is that the one that has a level with everyone you kill is walking down a river at you?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one where we killed everybody in the game.
Yeah,
It took like
20
a
minutes.
fucking hour to go through the river Styx.
And we didn't realize that you had to, like, press pause, so we had to do it twice because we didn't get the ending because we thought we just died. Good times.
Right.
Good times.
Good times, yeah. Snake Eater. Whew. Yeah. Revisiting this just made me realize how shit I am at how to play Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah.
Just something about it. It just doesn't click with me. Meanwhile, I play Hitman and I'm like, yes, peripheral vision, just block the view. It's very it's a hard mechanic, but it's easy to get the concept. Metal Gear Solid, you have to utilize so many of the game's mechanics correctly to play the game in a stealth manner.
I don't know. It felt fairly simple to me. I mean,
Well, do tell why it was simple, Colin.
it's largely a top-down game with... I don't know if I'd call it a stealth game with action mechanics or an action game with stealth mechanics. But... I don't know. I mean, you've got the radar screen in the top right corner telling you or showing you what the guard's field of vision is. So I just paid a lot of attention to that in order to not get spotted. And since you don't have to like crouch or go really slowly when you're trying to get past these guys, you just have to avoid their field of vision. I found it much more simple, although in certain spots you have to avoid walking on them in order to not make so much noise, because in some spots there's like metal grating that when you step on it,
right,
you make noise, and then the guards will be like, what was that noise? Or splashing through a puddle, same result. And then sometimes the guards will see your footprints in the snow, so you gotta like get into a vent or underneath the tank.
There's a lot of good detail in Metal Gear Solid, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of commentary, dialogue, very much in line with what we now know the Metal Gear Solid series to be.
Yeah.
I still find the boss fights incredibly interesting and unique, one from another.
Yeah.
What the series is about, what the game's story is about, is like, it's Kingdom Hearts level of baffling.
I don't know. I'd say it's a little less baffling than Kingdom Hearts, because not every piece of information is plot important.
No, but do things connect in a meaningful way or anything? You're just like, I don't know. Like, there's a clone, there's not a clone, but he was from the past and he's from the over my head. That's too much to understand. I'm just playing the game. I'm killing this like octo jack jerk off over here. This guy's reading my memory card. I don't know what the fuck his problem is. Psycho Manta Ray. They're all assholes. I do have a memory. I didn't get this far. I do have a memory of absolutely hating the sniper rifle battle in this game.
Oh yeah, I had trouble with it too, even with this playthrough. That's as far as I got. I played to the end of disc 1. And that's where
it's
it
a
happened.
game with multiple discs. That's important to notice.
Yeah.
Or to make note of. But yeah, the sniper. What pissed me off at the sniper rifle one is it's always so hard to crouch, lay down, get in the scope, find the enemy before they pop you one.
Yeah, even with the thermal goggles, it's tough.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of the game mechanic, maybe it's the mixing of the crouch and the auto wall mechanic that it has, or I'm sorry, the going up against the wall mechanic and staying out of people's field of vision. Always have had issues with it. Joey, what did you get out of Metal Gear Solid here?
I honestly didn't really enjoy it too much. I didn't like the camera angles. It's just, I don't know. It's not a game for me.
Not a top-down type of guy?
No, I didn't really enjoy that. I don't think I enjoyed any of the games except for, like, of the Metal Gear series except for Snake Eater. I think that's the only one I really liked.
Well, that's because you could go in guns blazing and not give a fuck.
That and I mean, the angles weren't bad where you have to, like, run down hallways, stop and see if someone can see you, and then just weird angles that... I don't know. This one had like fixed camera angles that I just didn't enjoy. Like, oh, there's an enemy. I'm running towards it. Let's have the camera facing back towards me so I can't see forward.
True. Yeah, there's things impeding your vision of where to go. While, of course, as technology developed and it switched to a third person behind the character camera, and they got rid of the whole I'm gonna be behind a wall and look around the corner mechanics that the second one had.
Yeah. I remember when I first played the game, I had a lot of trouble with the cyborg ninja fight when you first meet Otacon. It's like it took me at least 2 hours straight to beat.
Well, you just see a lot about all these Metal Gear Solid boss fights, especially in the first ones. There's always a quirk. Like a Zelda game, right?
Yeah.
It's always a quirk to beat the boss, but it's not as opposed to Zelda where there's a big glowy thing to hit. Ah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
There's not a big glowy thing to hit in Metal Gear Solid. It's always something, this cryptic information of trying to deduce a riddle. Ah, this is how I'm supposed to kill this guy.
Yeah, although you can
In
always
this case,
ask
fourth-wall
the
nonsense.
colonel or the weapons expert over the codec. During the battle.
Yeah. During the battle.
Yeah, that's one of those weird quirks of the game. Every time you go into Kodak, time around you seems to just stop.
Yeah. Well, you have a time force field, of course.
Naturally.
Yeah. So I'll pass Metal Gear Solid. It's still very frustrating at time with me. I don't have like a crazy nostalgia trip with the game, so I'm definitely more harsh on it than I think a lot of other people are. I do recognize where it's innovative, how it came out, how it's developed is quite something, that's for sure. Where the franchise has gone, so it was interesting retrospective on Metal Gear Solid, that's for sure.
Yeah, I gave it a pass too. By the way, it was Ego Raptor's Metal Gear Awesome animation on Newgrounds that got me to play this for the first time. So, I'm just going to put a link in the Discord. Everybody go watch it. Super hilarious.
Yeah. I've definitely seen it before. So
I'm going to fail it.
Really?
Fair enough, Joey. That's okay.
I didn't really enjoy it. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, the Kevin game gets a Kevin answer. There you go. All right, so my pick was a game I've dabbled in numerous times, but I've never really played it more than 15 minutes. It's one of those experience games, right?
Yeah.
It's called Siren on the PS2. It goes for about $14, just like Metal Gear Solid out there. It's developed by SIE Japan Studio, and I'm looking at this symbol when it comes up, and I go, I recognize it, but who the fuck are these guys? I'm like, what? I swear I've seen this symbol in so many games that I own and have played, but nothing came to mind. I'm like, all right, I gotta look this shit up. Who is SIE Japan Studio? Oh, they make games like Ape Escape, game I love, Legend of Dragoon, highly underrated RPG series,
Absolutely.
fucking Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. There's the list goes on. They don't just make their own games; they help other developers make games. So they have so many hits out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is no exception, because Siren was also developed by Team Siren. Go figure. Published by Sony Computer Entertainment, so SIE Japan Studio kind of is assigned to various studios by SCE to help out other games get started. This game was released in Japan November 6, 2003, and then Europe and North America March, April 2004. This game is fucking long.
Yeah.
Game clocks in around 19 hours. I played 4 hours, and I went, how the fuck long is this game? Look it up, 19 hours. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I got further than 15 minutes. But, so this game is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Okay? It is a stealth horror game. Now you're thinking, wait a minute, aren't all horror games stealth? Well, no.
Not necessarily. I mean...
Not necessarily.
I mean, Silent Hill is kind of... There's only a little bit of stealth, but mostly you just whack guys with a pipe or shoot them.
Right, or Resident Evil, you're just kind of wandering around until like a zombie shows up or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Even in like a modern game, Evil Within, yes, there's stealth elements to it, but you don't have to play that way really at all, and the game doesn't encourage that until you put it on like expert difficulty.
Yeah.
Because enemies get so fucking strong and bullet spongy, you kind of have to play stealth. Anyways.
Yeah, and then...
No, this game is fully enforced and engrossed in you must play stealth.
Oh, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And you find that out not in the very first mission where you're introduced, but the second mission.
Yep.
Where it just throws you into the fray. It's like, they have this thing called sightjacking. Do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is this game weird? Well, it's in this like pseudo The Ring situation where everything's like black and gray everywhere, and it's very Japanese.
Oh yeah.
Like weirdly very Japanese. It's just cut. It's a camera cut. What? Camera cut. I will murder you. Camera cut. This random Japanese thing happens. Another camera cut. We're back at the character. Now go to the exit. Where's the exit? I don't fucking know. Just wander around and look for it.
If you look on the map, you can like cycle through all the different landmarks, and then when you look on the objective to see you got to go to this spot, that spot, or the path to that spot will have like a double arrow illuminated once you've selected it.
But how do you get to the spot? I don't know. Everything's dark. And, oh, that's right. On all these levels, there's like a sniper maybe on a roof.
Oh, yeah.
There's
a pain.
Couple goons just wandering around the map. And I mentioned sightjacking.
Yep.
So, for some reason, these characters have sightjacking. What is sightjacking? Basically, you press the D-pad. Or no, you press triangle.
No,
then you roll around the D-pad.
It's R2.
I think it's triangle, right?
No, it's L2.
R2. L2, or whatever. You press a button, and then you cycle the D-pad, and that enables you to then see in the eyes of an enemy.
Yep.
Or yourself, or the character that you have to escort, which is the best part in every game everyone likes, of course.
There's multiple escort missions.
Okay. The game begins where you're like this kid, and it's the camera cuts, and then a cop zombie thing has a pistol, and he's gonna fucking shoot the kid's brains out.
Yeah.
So you run away, and you're in this just small little area, and you have just no fucking idea what to do. Right?
Yeah.
And it took me I died like 3 times immediately. Just, do I go here? No, it's locked. Shot dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hide behind the truck and then go back through the forest? Oh, no, the game stops me. Shot. I'm dead again. Great. Okay, I'll go in the truck. Maybe, the truck's locked. Shot. Dead. Great. 3 times. Fuck.
Oh, boy.
And then I ran around. Oh, there's a door that isn't locked. And I just get the key and then hop in the truck and drive away. I'm like, cool. That was the first mission. It just goes, you escaped, or you successfully left, or whatever. Then the second mission is where the base of the game starts, where you learn the sightjacking, in which it just goes, the guy's like, my head hurts. I have this sight ability.
Yeah. And
you have to escort this college chick with you. But I really needed to look up how to play this fucking game, because I just could not get a handle on it. Because the sightjacking, take the sniper on the roof, you sightjack him, you go, okay, what is this exactly? And you go, oh, okay, so this is what this game is. So then you wait for the sniper to look left or look right. Maybe I'll stay in the shadows when I move my character when I'm staying out of his direction, but this fucking guy sees you wherever you are. So everything I was learning from the previous stealth games was thrown out the window for this one.
Yeah.
And then the thing that I did like about this, but it's kind of mute, is when one of these enemies sees you, the screen will like flash red or some shit.
Yeah, I remember that. I like that.
I really like it, but you see it and you're just like, shit, I'm seen. But then you are most likely gonna die like immediately.
Yeah.
So you get kind of scared when that happens.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not like Metal Gear or Splinter Cell where you get like a musical cue as soon as you're spotted.
Yeah, it's just a bah! You're seen.
Yep.
Joey, what'd you think of Siren and how you played and all this nonsense?
I didn't get to play this one, so I only got to see from videos. But it seems interesting with our stealth aspect of it. But it seemed like it could be really hard with how the graphics are to be stealth. But I don't know, it just seems like a weird game. And you said it took 19 hours, but this speedrunner I'm watching, he can do 100% in under 3 hours.
Congratulations. Man, I didn't even get very far, and it took me like 4 hours. I think I may have beaten like 4 missions. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm just wandering, and then I get seen, and then I die, and I go a little bit farther, and then I die again, and I go a little bit farther, and eventually I finally made it out, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of good concepts here, right?
Yeah.
But it's so tedious.
Yeah.
And graphically, it just did not appeal to me.
Yeah, I like pretty weird.
I like if you did something in one mission or day, it could affect what happens down the line. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a butterfly effect to the game that, again, a great concept. But what you're doing through all this, like, that's the problem, because it's just so tedious.
Yeah.
It's just so much trial and error of, like, where to go, and then if you're seen, you die like too fast. You have no room for error a lot of the times. At least that's the way I felt like I was being played. I felt like I was being played, not playing the game.
Yeah.
As a horror game, it wasn't like terribly scary. As a stealth game, I was more frustrated than feeling kind of a... So in the other ones we played, we felt like a badass, right?
Yeah.
So in this one, it was kind of going for the more you're helpless situation, right?
Yeah, you're just regular people trying to survive a horror situation. Because you're playing as multiple people in this game.
Which made no fucking sense to me. I was like trying to piece it together, and I go, why am I this dude with a long rifle now? Like a musket. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you play like 10 people.
Yeah. Like, how does all this connect? No idea. So maybe later in the game that's answered, but from how much I played, I'm just like totally lost, and I'm lost in the game while I play it. So to make this short, this game short, there's a lot of good concepts. It just wasn't executed very well for me. So maybe this is a case of kind of like what Kevin says, where the first game is a miss, and the second game, everything's fixed and it's really good, right? So maybe they really, really improved a lot of these mechanics. Maybe there was a little bit more direction rather than just marking your map and wandering around aimlessly until you die and then get a little farther.
Yeah.
I can see why people would find it interesting. If I had more time to develop to engage in Siren, maybe I'd like it more. But in what I played and my experience through it, I just can't pass this game, which is quite disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, I found some things helpful where, like, in sight jacking, you can actually, like, lock certain viewpoints in by pressing X or square. And then once you go back into sight jack mode, you can switch between them.
Yeah, you can switch between them real time using the D-pad because you have them locked in. Yeah, if that didn't exist, I'd never get anywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, so much of the time, 2 shots from a rifle is what kills you, and I feel like that's way too little. There's like very little wiggle room for mistakes.
Well, yeah, and he shoots super fast too. It's just, well, bang and bang again. You have no chance to react.
And I don't know about the rest of you, but I found it a bit jarring that all of the characters' English voices have British accents. I guess I'm just used to hearing American accents in Japanese properties that are dubbed.
Oh man, there's a lot of games with terrible British voice acting for English. It's of legends, especially like the Xenoblade franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how about you, Joey?
I'm gonna fail it. I mean, it looked like it had a lot of good things, but I mean, just like the next game we're gonna talk about, it just failed to execute.
Yeah.
Well, get into your game, Joey.
Well,
I didn't get to say if I pass it or not.
Oh, go ahead and fail it.
Yeah, I gotta give it a soft fail because it's, on the one hand, like you guys said, it's got a lot of good ideas, but on the other hand, it just feels like a really tedious and failed Silent Hill. I mean, I hate making comparisons to Silent Hill because I feel like they're overused in horror game reviews in much the same way Dark Souls is overused as a measuring stick for difficulty, but in this case it's appropriate because this game does a lot of the same things Silent Hill does. I mean, constant fog to limit visibility, cryptic clues as to what the hell is going on, bare bones combat, you get the idea. But yeah, soft fail.
Alrighty. Last game.
Thief 2, The Metal Age. $7 on was that Good Old Games. It's also $7 on Steam. It's on the PC, obviously. Developed by Looking Glass Studios. Released in 2000. I couldn't get my game to work.
Oh shit.
Oh no, really?
And I looked into it, and there's some unofficial patches. But the first one, they're like, stop using that one, go to this one, and then the steps to get it to work, it just was too much, and I actually got a refund from Steam. I could not get it, like, at all. I picked new game, and it crashed every time, so...
Oh, no.
Well, okay, so that's what I found interesting about just retro PC games on Steam, that they generally have a lot of issues. So if you want retro PC games, such as System Shock, which is another one by Looking Glass Studio, get it on Good Old Games because it's usually compatible with modern systems.
Yeah, I love Good Old Games. They're very customer friendly.
Yeah. So I was able to get my version of the game to work just fine, Joey.
Whoa, your computer is probably way worse than mine, so...
Whoa, hey.
It probably is not compatible with my hardware.
I have a sick, awesome Alienware laptop, thank you.
Yeah, but you're probably running Intel, aren't you?
i7?
Yeah, I'm running AMD with their stuff, so it may not work with that.
Poppycock.
Bosh! Flimshaw!
But I will say, it feels like, it says it's middle age, or metal age. The guards are dressed up like they're from, like, castle times, but everything else doesn't really feel like castle times. Like, you're going into a house, you're walking with modern looking lights, even though they're gas lights. It's just, a lot of things don't really seem to match up. So
well, it's meant to be steampunky, so
I guess, but then they should have called it the steampunk age. And I mean, from what I liked, the voice acting just feels weird. Like, you're supposed to be a thief and stealthy, but everything was just so loud.
For a game that came out in 2000, it's really blocky.
Yeah, that too. And I don't know, it feels like perception's off. I don't know if, like, tables are just bigger or the people are small. I don't know. Something just feels off walking around in the game. Or watching people walk around the game, in my case.
No, you're right. No, I felt the same way. Man, when I booted this up, I'm like, man, this is what, if I have in my head what a retro PC game is, this is it. Where everything's off perspective. Like, if you're sneaking up behind an enemy and use your club to knock them out, it doesn't even look like it hits them. They just go down.
Yeah.
The hitbox is like really weird and distance is weird.
It kind of feels like someone got the idea of, you know how that old screensaver with the mouse in the maze? This is what it feels like it is. So it's like, hey, let's make a game out of that.
So the reason why Thief 2: The Metal Age is on this list, because we generally don't do PC retro games. We stick to consoles, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple reasons. One is when I first started the YouTube channel and the podcast, my old friend from Toronto, John, loves Thief 2, and he always talked it up. And this has been in the back of my head that I have to play this game. And there's so many things that Thief 2, specifically Thief 2, developed and is used as like a stealth game blueprint ever since. That ranges from crouching to lessen noise. Because if you're like walking on stairs and you kind of go left off the stairs, you'll make a thump sound and the guard will hear you. But if you're crouching and go off the stairs, then you don't make a sound. Sticking to the shadows where the enemies just don't see you. Sticking to corners and you're out of an enemy's peripheral vision. So all these elements add up to what stealth games kind of are blueprinted on. And then the difficulty level is something I had experienced prior, because John actually showed me, is if you play Thief 2 on a harder difficulty level, the enemies' paths will change to make the level layout a little bit tougher, and you have to figure out alternate paths. Enemies will be alert to things that have been knocked over in the level. They will be more prone to check areas that are easily accessible off the street, so you have to hide the bodies better. Unlike in Splinter Cell, or if you just chuck them in the dark, then they're just gone. It's almost like the bodies disappeared. Not in Thief 2. So there is a difficulty level in Thief 2, right? You want to play the game easier? Well, then the guards' paths will be easier. They'll be more linear, back and forth. The enemies won't be so susceptible to seeing you. It's not like, okay, here's a bullet sponge enemy now. It just takes more bullets. Or you take less hit. There's a lot more to it from an AI perspective, which I found that very interesting.
Yeah.
Now that that's all been said, I found this game fucking boring.
Really?
Very boring. I was so bored playing this.
Explain.
Well, the first level, you're going through a house, and you just knock everyone out.
Yes.
You can throw their body in a room or whatever. You have to find like money or some shit. You're a thief. The second level, you have to pay rent, so you have to steal an item, and you're just walking around a little mansion graveyard shit area. You get in and you just do the same thing over again. It felt very much to rinse and repeat, even though the formula is still very much like what we have been playing in at least 2 out of the 4 other games. Sneak up on an enemy, knock him out, move on to the next enemy, right? Maybe it was because it was too basic that I just couldn't get into it.
Maybe.
I did like the kind of pre-artwork story to kind of set up the levels. I like that.
Yeah.
Kind of give you a background on the thief, his motivations. That was cool. But the game itself, I just felt like I was playing the same thing over and over again. Knock the enemy out. Maybe it has something, maybe it doesn't. Move on.
Yeah, there are a few extra quirks. I mean, I liked the water arrows. You use those to douse torches to create darkness. And then in other spots, you gotta like rifle through all these different scrolls and documents to figure out codes to get into certain doors. And then find those little combination locks and enter the code. And then in other spots, you might find out from the documents where there's like particularly valuable stuff. And I also liked the conversations between the NPCs, because like half the times the guards are either drunk or just plain don't give a fuck. And Garrett himself will occasionally rattle off a one-liner, just getting snarky.
Yeah. No, I see a good game here. I see a great game.
Yeah.
I could not get into it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just one of those things.
Yeah, it is kind of one of the pioneering games of the stealth genre, so it's not as sophisticated as something like the later Splinter Cell games.
Right. There's just not a lot of... I mean, there is a lot of depth to this game, but just for what it is, it still seemed way too much on the bare bones basic. I'm sneaking around this place. I'm gonna see the guard. I'm gonna wait, gonna knock him out, then I'm gonna move on to the next one, and eventually I'm gonna get to my goal and move out. You get what I'm saying here? Am I alone, Joey?
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, I don't hate that one. Again, when I play Payday 2, I usually you do one mission to the next mission. You just go do the mission and leave. But this game was just not as fun. I can see what it did. I can see why other games followed. But it was more of like, oh, that has a good idea, but I'm going to do it better. So, I don't know. I don't think it looks too enjoyable.
I had a decent time with it. I mean, I felt like the missions were a little longer or just too spread out at times. Because, like, these maps are fucking huge.
Oh yeah. That house just went on for ages. I'm like, how long is this hallway?
Yeah.
Like, what style ranch house is this?
Yeah, and it's especially true of that, like, whole warehouse section with all the different little shops and such to raid.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that was a particular pain in my ass was for, like, your support items. Yet you can only cycle through them with one single button, which is like the tab button to get to it. Like, sometimes you'll need a key, other times you'll need an invisibility potion or a healing potion. You gotta, like, cycle through it, hit tab over and over and over until you get to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not so bad when you have lots of time, like no guards are around, but when you're suddenly being chased by a whole crowd of them after getting spotted, which Yahtzee refers to as the cock-up cascade.
Right, yep.
It's not exactly viable when you're trying to get to, like, a flashbang grenade. And you can't immediately get to it. I mean, why not just make the flashbangs part of the weaponry? Because the weaponry, you can
we
cycle
totally
through.
forgot about the UI. Mentioned the UI in Siren, where it's just hit a button, and that'll bring up, like, the UI option menu.
Yeah, it's like the triangle button.
Yeah, take thing, back out, or do this other thing.
Or shout.
Like, it's in the middle, or shout, yeah. It's in the middle of the screen, too, that comes up, and you highlight it. It's like, they couldn't really think of anything else?
Yeah.
But yeah, the tab thing in Thief, I noticed, probably midway through the second level. I'm like, okay, what is this? Why can't I? Oh my god, I have to do this?
Yeah, it's not exactly. It's pretty clunky in that respect, which sucks because weaponry you can switch between with, like, the number buttons. Like, number 1 is the sword, 2 blackjack, 3 water arrow or broadhead arrow. You get the idea.
Yeah. Maybe the pace of the game is what threw me off, because it felt really slow.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, because you're moving so slow and everything's so big, it's just... Probably
Well,
even the perspective, it's just weird.
You can hit the sprint button. You can sprint by holding down shift and then doing a movement button.
Oh, but that'll get you noticed by guards calling you fool. You don't sprint in stealth games.
Well, if there's an area you've already cleared out of guards by knocking them all out, you can go nuts.
Well, yeah, because they're all unconscious. Of course I would sprint over their unconscious bodies. Yeah. I looked this up. This game clocks in on an average of 28 hours.
Damn.
Jesus It's a long game.
But only like 12 hours of action.
Yeah, haha, Joey.
It's kind of typical of...
filled with sass.
That's kind of typical of, like, PC games of the time. Although, with Thief the Dark Project, it gets to a point where you can, like, fight supernatural enemies at one point. So there's, like magical zombies. You gotta hit them with your sword. So up to now, I've only played like the demo of Thief the Dark Project, which is the first game.
All right.
But nothing beyond that. It is kind of cool that you can like pickpocket guards. It's like you get real close to them and then their wallet or a key on their belt will light up and you just right click it and it's yours.
Yeah. Again, there's so many mechanics in this that in the year 2000, before stealth games were really even a thing, this was the stealth game. This was the quintessential blueprint. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
So, my opinion of my experience aside, this game is very important to the history of gaming.
Absolutely.
I don't. That is indisputable of what this game did and innovated.
Mm-hmm.
Despite all that, I'm still going to say I was fucking bored. So I'm going to fail the game because at the end of the day, it's all based on our opinion of our experience, and I was bored. And this is a retro podcast, and we're doing like retrospective. This game just doesn't hold up to what we want in a game anymore, right? So it's like in the year 2000, possibly S tier game, right? But in 2020, it's not that anymore.
Fair enough.
Does this opinion make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm a fail it. Because I don't know, it feels clunky, and to a game that came out a year before, EverQuest, like I can go back and play EverQuest and it's 1999 graphics and it feels smoother than this. This game just feels off. So, I mean, I'm glad it did. I like a lot of other stealth games, even though I suck at them. But it doesn't look fun, and it just looks half-assed now. But I guess it wasn't at the time.
Well, it's like playing the first Tomb Raider game. It's the first like action-adventure game in the 3D polygonal graphics. At the time, very groundbreaking. Does it hold up today? Fucking no. It's horrid. It's a horridly controlled game.
Well,
so.
I pass it. I mean, I don't think I was as bored as you guys, but much like with Hitman 2, I didn't feel myself compelled to go back to this one as much as the others.
Fair enough. All right, so the games we played for the Stealth Podcast, as we've gone a little bit longer than usual: Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, Splinter Cell, Metal Gear Solid, Siren, and Thief 2 The Metal Age. Joey, favorite and least favorite, and then run down your tier grades for me, please.
Favorite, Splinter Cell. Least favorite, Thief 2. Grades? I'm going to give a B to Splinter Cell, B to Hitman 2, C to Metal Gear, and a D to the other ones.
Fair enough. Colin, you're up, sir.
Favorite, Splinter Cell. Least favorite, Siren. I give Splinter Cell tier A.
Ooh.
Hitman tier B.
Ooh.
Metal Gear Solid B tier.
Okay.
Thief 2 tier A, just for what it is. And Siren C tier.
All right. My favorite, I don't think should be a surprise considering how long I talked about it, is Hitman 2. My least favorite would probably be Thief 2, unfortunately, considering my thoughts on it. But again, I will reiterate it, the game did a lot of great things. Okay?
Okay.
Just saying that so it doesn't go unnoticed. I'm giving Hitman 2 Silent Assassin if it wasn't so utterly difficult and that last level wasn't such bullshit, it would have been A, but unfortunately it's staying at the B tier.
Okay.
Splinter Cell is also going to be B tier. Metal Gear Solid, I am sticking to the... Ooh, if I could give it like a B minus, I would, but since I can't do that, it's going to be B. Siren is going to get a D, unfortunately. Too many things were not executed well enough. And then Thief 2, I'm just going to give a solid C, since I know how important it was to gaming, and even though I did fail it, just from the retrospective itself and its importance, it kind of bumps it up from my D to a C.
Okay.
So, there you go. The next theme is, in fact, Bullet Hell.
Okay.
We'll be covering 5 games on it, a special 5th game that we decided on before this podcast.
Is it really, or is this going to become a gag? We're going to say Bullet Hell is always the next episode and it's never going to come.
You're going to have to tune in next time to find out. This was episode 61 of the Red Leaf Retrocast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye now.